Well, she's finally going commando. No, it's not what you think. Here's a look at the brand new NECA toys. This is Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Commando Elvira. Introducing NECA's first official figure from the 1988 film Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. When Elvira inherits a house in a closed-minded community, hijinks ensue in this camp classic comedy horror film. Get ready to be blown away by Commando Elvira. This 8-inch figure is fully articulated and features an all-new tailored dress to recreate the iconic movie scene. Accessories include an all-new dagger, all-new bracelets, interchangeable faceplates with an all-new expression, Aunt Morgana's spell book, bazooka, and figure stand. I see this time the Mistress of the Dark is packing. Heat! Heat, you perverts. Before we get a closer look at the new Commando Elvira from Mistress of the Dark, let's take the tape measure and see how tall the figure clocks in. Now, I've currently got her on the display stand, who probably best advised to do and follow suit with that. Just the way that her high heels are designed, she isn't going to stand on her own. She's very top heavy. Stop that, perverts. The tape measure is going to tell us, if I can actually get it unraveled, that Elvira is going to in fact stand about 8 3/4 of an inch in height, translating, though, to a figure that's 22 centimeters tall. 4 figures? 4 figures sounds about right for what we've gotten so far from Elvira and the team at NECA. Now, granted, I'm not, of course, including the Toonie Terrors releases of her. We've all covered that here on this channel. Here's what the figure looks like with the original Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I think if we're doing this in proper order, we've also got, of course, ourselves the Christmas edition Elvira. This was the Elvira from, I think, the Scary Xmas box set that came included with the Ghoul. Then, of course, we also got ourselves the Over the Rainbow Elvira. In each of the instances, we've seemed to have gotten ourselves a different head sculpt. The one thing that was kind of interesting, at least of the Over Rainbow, if you had the chance to pick up that figure, is that she also started to utilize faceplates, something that the Commando release of Elvira starts to do as well. Bazooka, book, and what other thing starts with a B? Oh, right, yeah, a display base comes included with Elvira. The figure, yes, also comes included with her dagger. Now, the thing that's interesting about the dagger is, while it may look very similar to the one that we got from the original release of her, let's just bring that in right now, it is, though, a different designed one. You can see it for yourself. One thing you'll probably notice right away, though, is the handle is a lot longer now with the Commando release of her. So small of a dagger. You can also see that the blade is a little more narrower as well. It still sheaths, though, on the front of her outfit. You'll see that there's probably a little looplet right there. We want to make sure, of course, I'm grabbing the right one. Yeah, it's this one right here. You can take the dagger and, of course, just feed it up just down her belt. I guess probably be putting it this way would make the most sense. Because if you put it upside down like that, there's always the risk that it's going to fall, and before you know it, it's going to get lost on the floor. And where's it going to go? You're going to ask yourself, with the answer being told, I have no idea. I don't know where that dagger even went. The figure, like I said, does come also included with the book. I do actually like the fact that they included Aunt Morgana's spell book. And while, unfortunately, though, the book doesn't actually open up, it's a nice recreation to the actual book that we see in the film. She does somewhat have technically a gripping hand on the other side, although it's kind of really more of a relaxed hand. So if you're looking to put that in her hand, obviously you can also put it on this side. Although if you're looking really at the hand, it's clearly more molded together. So these fingers and the thumb aren't going to be going anywhere. I guess you can kind of wedge the book in there, but it kind of looks like she's throwing more of a ninja star. Yeah, instead, what I'm going to probably end up doing is just have the book either in her hand like this, and just do your best to balance it. Don't sneeze, whatever you do. Don't cough. No, don't cough. The guy looks like he's putting his hand up to his mouth. Stop that. Leave right now. You can do it that way, and it holds okay. But I'm guessing they probably could have come up with a better hand option available for her to hold Morgana's book. The figure also comes included with the bazooka. The bazooka itself is nice. I mean, I love the fact that they actually took the time to include this. They say that really this is the first Elvira Mistress of the Dark movie figure. Technically, though, we've already got the Elvira Mistress of the Dark figure, which easily could have been implanted into the movie as well. But this is also the true movie figure release of her, and she, like I said, does come included with the bazooka. It's big, it's large, it's fairly weighted too, and it does also have a strap. Now, at the beginning of this review, I had this strapped around the back of her body. As we move kind of closer to moving this figure over to the rotisserie, I'm probably going to have the figure displayed with the bazooka in her hand. Speaking of which, though, while the hand doesn't have much mobility to it, you can take, though, the handle of the bazooka and kind of just wedge it in there. You kind of have to move it back and forth until finally it gets in there. It's not the easiest thing, mind you, to do. And you may, in fact, even have to heat the hand just a little bit. But, I mean, if you're looking at the way the fingers are, soften up just a little bit. Don't do what I just did. maybe even take a hairdryer, take a few passes, and eventually you'll get the bazooka in her hand. And thank goodness as well, the other B that she does come include with the display base, at least it ensures that the figure isn't going to fall. The one last thing that she does also have, taking some cues from the Over the Rainbow release of her, is that she also has a removable faceplate. Now, this is the removed faceplate. This would have been the one that also gets gifted inside the tray. If you're looking at this one, it may look familiar to you because it happens to be the exact same faceplate that got also packed with the Over the Rainbow release of her. Seems to be exact. I mean, maybe the paint is a little bit different, but it looks like the eyeshadow is about the same pink. Looks like the lips are about the same pink. And the placement of mole is obviously in the same spot. Changing out the heads, though, changing out the faceplates, I should say. Go ahead and first take the bazooka out of her hand. Let's go ahead and also remove her from the display base. Now, the display base is very actually similar to the one that we got. Let me just grab the one from Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. You'll see that with her release, she only had just basically a black circular display stand. The one that we got from the Christmas one, the Christmas release of Scary Xmas, did in fact actually have Elvira's signature on it, which is identical, as you would expect, to this one here, although this one was in red, this one now is in white. The one also from the Over the Rainbow happened to have, obviously the yellow brick road leading to the wizard. So there was obviously, while the stands have all remained the same shape and the same placement of peg, one thing I do really like is that they've added a signature down below. Getting that all out. So looking at the defaulted head sculpt when we get for Elvira getting out of the packaging, brand new head, obviously brand new expression. She has much wider eyes too. She also has now the bandana that wasn't present on either, of the other three other releases of her. Now, if you did want to change out the face, even though this is going to be the head I'm going to stick with displaying her on the shelf, all you basically have to do is get your finger in there. You don't have to make the noise while you're doing it, and just pry the face off. Take the new face that you want to use, kind of tuck it up in there, and then plug it in place. That's all that's really required. Now, with that idea in mind, if we bring in, say, the Over Rainbow release of her, I'm just going to put Elvira down here for a second. Theoretically as well, you could take the face off this one. We'll be face swapping now all of a sudden. Take the face off that one, and because, again, it's using the exact same head, you can just plug it in place, and you have that head with this head sculpt. Now, it doesn't work with the other two Elviras unless you were to go the route of popping off the head entirely, because with both the original release of her and the Scary Xmas, she had dedicated heads with each new expression. So in order, obviously, to start incorporating faceplate swapping, where's John Travolta when we need him? You would have to obviously take off the entire head. You'd be able to put it then on the Elvira Mistress of the Dark release, and then just swap out the faceplates that way. I'm sure this will all lead eventually to the ultimate release of Elvira. That's probably going to have all these other faceplates that we've already had a look at, and maybe she's going to come include with like just the default black dress. So let's go ahead and just take this off, because that face doesn't belong to her. I want to make sure I've got the right face on her. And now, again, obviously, you could use this face too with that release of her. But for me, at least, I really would like to stick with probably the two that she comes included with out of the packaging. So while this head sculpt is okay, I still would have preferred to go with the beeline it back to the original head sculpt. I think that's the better of the two faces. So again, let's go ahead and just pry that off. Go ahead and take the new head. And again, you basically just have two holes right here. You got two pegs. Simple shapes, guys. Simple shapes. And just tuck it underneath the headband and make sure it's securely plugged in place. For the rest of her outfits, while it still is black like the original release of her, oh, where'd the dagger go? Whew, dagger's right over here. While it is, though, the original dress for Elvira, you can see that a lot of it gets ripped away. So the sleeves are gone in this case. One sleeve is completely ripped in half. This sleeve right here is ripped in half. This one completely taken off by the shoulder. Down below as well, she now doesn't have as much of the length of the dress. And what she does have instead now is runs in her stockings. I think it's cool the fact that they even incorporate something like that. And while it doesn't look like it's been sculpted into the legs, painting it well enough as they have, it does look like she actually got runs in her pantyhose. Other than that, it looks to be the case that they're using the exact same body, same arms, possibly potentially the exact same legs. The only thing that's different, though, is the different kinds of hands that they've given her, although this hand here looks to be the exact same. For the figure's articulation, Commando Elvira does in fact have a ball joint. Now, with her hair obviously coming down in the front here and in the back, it's going to render some lack of mobility. You can still rotate, sure, the head back and forth. You can move it up and down, and you can rock it back and forth just a little bit. Sorry, excuse me. She has an upper torso ball joint. It isn't actually really so much a ball joint. I mean, it does rotate back and forth, but it seems to rotate more down below in the waist, and then it moves up and down here. Almost, well, I guess it is still a ball joint. What am I talking about here? My mind is wandering. The arms do hinge out, yes, in fact, at a T-pose. As though a side note, one thing I do really like, I'm so sorry to draw such attention to this, is that they've also added some dirt, like camouflage. I would imagine it's basically dirt and debris all across the front of her torso. She does also now have a tattoo sported on the side of her arm, something also that's unique to this figure. And of course, she does have bracelets there. Now, the other Elviras, if we look at this figure, for example, she did have, if I just move the sleeve out of the way, get the sleeve out of the way, she does also have the same bracelets. So it looks like they are using, yeah, the same accessories. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. It is a little bit of a different bracelet on this one than this one here. As for the mobility in her legs down below, the legs do split out. They creak, they squeak, but she does do a full split if she wants. You can take the legs, move forward. You can move them back. Mild swivel there at the top of the thigh, single hinge only in the knee. And then she does have, of course, the ankle pivot. Not really much in the way of an ankle rocker. And of course, ever crucial, the figure does have pegals on the undersides of her feet. Plugging her back onto the display stand, just like that. Yeah, I really like the look of this Elvira. You know, the thing I really like also about this one too, is it isn't just a case like they took essentially the same outfit as this one, just a different head faceplate, and they called it, you know, Commando Elvira. I mean, obviously, the way that she looks in the movie during this scene, she can't just wear the simple regular dress that she wears normally. I do like that the dress looks tattered, it looks torn, and she does also come included with some packed heat. I like the look of the bazooka quite a lot as well. In the end, it's well worth picking up if you're a big fan of Elvira, not just, though, for the accessories that she comes included with, like, for example, you know, Aunt Morgana's a spell book. I do like the fact that they included that. But the fact that it's a bazooka, the fact that also we're moving forward with Elvira figures, taking, again, some pages that they did initially with the Over the Rainbow release of her, and now incorporating faceplates. Not only from a cost-saving standpoint, it's so much easier for them just to mold just faces rather than entire heads all alone, but also, too, it makes things a whole lot easier as a collector. Instead of having to worry all the time about popping a head off a ball joint and forcing and fighting with that, it's so much easier really to replace a faceplate, because all it's really required on your part, there's pegs on the back of that. Just detach the face that you don't want anymore and replace it with the one that you do. With every subsequent release of Elvira, there's another reason why to pick up that figure. With one of the big changes made really to the Over the Rainbow release of her, where they started to incorporate faceplates, that trend now gets carried over to the Commando release of her as well. If you wanted just to stick to a regular outfit on Elvira, probably between this one and the original version that we got from NECA would be your best options. If you're, though, a die-hard fan of Elvira and would like just to collect everything, then yeah, the Scurry Xmas and probably the Over Rainbow would be then your options to pick up, totaling, I think, a figure count of 4. Of this one, though, and the Elvira, the first one that we looked at, these are probably still my 2 favorites, just because, again, like the black-clad Mistress of the Dark, doesn't look any bit better than what we're getting here with this release. One thing I do really like is that we get a brand new head sculpt, now with a bandana with her beehive, and she also comes included with a bazooka. Beehive! That's another word that started with B. Couldn't think of another B word. All in all, though, I really do like the look of this Elvira. Well worth picking up, though, certainly if you're a fan of not only the character, but also the film as well. What do you guys think of Commando Elvira? Let me know down below in the comment section. Have you had the chance to pick this one up? Or if you have been collecting any of the Elviras, is this one that you still haven't gotten, but is definitely on your radar? I certainly hope, though, this channel is on your radar. If you did, of course, enjoy this video, you could do it a solid and throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? I hope so. Hit that subscribe, turn on that bell, and of course, come back. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.